NFL team tier list heading into 2025. I've seen people do this. I thought, why not? Seems like fun. Let's hop straight into it, man. Um, the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints just got Kellen Moore. Yeah, super excited for Kellen Moore coming over from Philadelphia. I know there's a lot of question marks on the New Orleans Saints right now. Their defense is eh. I really love Kool Aid. Really love Kool Aid McKinstry. He's a really good corner. I love Alante Taylor. I love the way that dude plays defensive back. Um, the rest of their defense is just I don't really know, man. I don't really know. Their offensive line is mid. Their defense, I mean, not their defense, their quarterback position. You know, they had the quarterback battle between Tyler Show and Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler ended up getting the nod with Kellen Moore. Spencer Rattler was solid last year. He wasn't the best. He wasn't the best. Let's be real here. But I do think with Kellen Moore coming over, Kellen Moore works really good with quarterbacks. So whoever that starting quarterback is during the course of the season, and right now it's Spencer Rattler, I feel like, having Kellen Moore as your head coach and your play caller could benefit him. So right now with the New Orleans Saints, I'm gonna put them in solid because they got some things going, but there's a lot of question marks there, and right now people don't think they're the best team, right? Um, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins. Uh, I like the Miami Dolphins more than other people, right? I know there's a lot of people that are down on Mike McDaniel, and they're like, "Oh, the players don't respect you." Hearing Jalen Ramsey talk about him, this and that. But I still think he's a really smart offensive mind. And going into this season, yeah, he will have to prove himself as a head coach, right? But I like Tua. I think that when Tua is on point, that offense is clicking on like all cylinders. And they got Jalen Waddle back. Jalen Waddle was dealing with some injuries. They got Tyreek Hill back. Tyreek Hill, all the offseason drama. And they have Devon Achane. But I think at the end of the day, right, when it comes down to just playing football, their offense could be firing on all cylinders. Their offensive line is a bit of a question mark, but their team as a whole isn't bad. Their defense is slightly underrated. I feel like people after Vic Fangio left there, people were like, they're just not a good unit. They don't have anything going there. But they're actually not that bad of a defense. Like if you look at overall statistics in every category, they rank pretty solid in just about everything. Like right inside top 10, right outside the top 10. So I do think that the Miami Dolphins are better than people think. And honestly, I'm going to put them in a playoff team because it wouldn't shock me if they got a playoff spot, last playoff spot, wild card. Baltimore Ravens. We all know how good the Baltimore Ravens are, right? They're literally they're a Super Bowl contender. We all know this. Lamar Jackson, one of the four elite quarterbacks in the league. You got Harbaugh as your head coach, an elite coach, right? Their offensive line is good. You got Rashad Bateman. You got Zay Flowers. You got Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely when he comes back from injury. Overall, just a really good offense. Derrick Henry, of course, still one of the top tier elite running backs in the league. And then on their defensive side, their front seven's really good. And their defensive backfield is going to be really exciting this year. They just re-signed. Why am I forgetting his name? Their safety. They just re-signed their safety, and I literally am shitting out right now. I don't know why I'm not think I just did a video on him. But yeah, they re-signed their safety and they signed Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander is literally a baller, and we all know this, right? Um, and yeah, that defensive backfield and that overall defense and their offense as a whole, Baltimore is they're a Super Bowl contender, and they're gonna be a Super Bowl contender because they just keep rebuilding these literal um, AFC powerhouse teams. Their roster's just been good past 3 years. The Cincinnati Bengals. We know the deal with Cincinnati Bengals. Their defense is literal question mark with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I was kind of a big Cameron Britt fan. Little did I know, the fucking dude gave up 10 touchdowns this last season. I was like, God damn. I was like, their defense really is bad. They just re-signed Trey Hendrickson. Um, that's one good pass rusher, right? We'll see how that works out. Their defense, who knows? Maybe their defense kind of they play better than we expect this year. It could happen, but for right now, their defense is not good. And Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, along with Chase Brown, they're literally carrying that team as an offense, and they're gonna have to go out and score 28 plus per game, right? And I wouldn't put it past them because they damn near did this last year. So for just the fact their defense is bad, but the fact that they do have those guys on their offense, there's a chance that Joe Burrow and them could get into the playoffs. It honestly would not shock me. So I'm gonna put them as a possible playoff team. Um, the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos. I really like this squad. Right. Bo Nix this last year, I feel like his season was overshadowed by Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels had a really good rookie year, so Bo Nix wasn't talked about enough. But Bo Nix had a really good season, and low key, that kid has a cannon arm. I don't know what people were talking about. You pair him up with Sean Payton. Sean Payton is still an elite head coach, an elite play caller, right? Yeah. Let's just say that those two are going to be meshing on another level going into this upcoming season. Their offense is going to be popping along with Cortland Sutton, a couple other of those wide receivers, right? Um, their defense, everybody's talking about their defense right now. Their defense is like the thing. And I absolutely love the Denver Broncos defense. And yeah, right now I put them as a top. You there's some people that have them as the best defense going into this upcoming year. So they're gonna be good. And I know they're in the AFC West along with Kansas City. But make no mistake, they could definitely make some noise this year. So for right now, I'm gonna put Denver Broncos as a playoff team. The New York Giants. New York Giants. I know things are not looking good for the New York Giants, but I don't necessarily think they're as bad as some people say. They brought in Russell Wilson, they got Jameis Winston, they drafted Jackson Dart. Super exciting. Jackson Dart looked really good in the preseason. Their offensive line really doesn't do it for me. Darius Slayton, they got Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is already looking like a top wide receiver. So they do have pieces on their offense. Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy is underrated. First 4 games the last his rookie year, he didn't even really play as much as a starter. And I mean, dude went for like 830. So, there's a lot of meat left on the bone there for Tyrone Tracy. Like he could crack. Wouldn't be shocked if he went for 1,100, 1,200 plus rushing yards this upcoming season. Their offensive line is the major factor here for their offense. And you just don't know about the quarterback play because we don't know about Jackson Dart, and Russell Wilson just came off of that weird season. But their front seven on the defense is what's exciting. I mean, they got Abdul Carter, they got Brian Burns, Sexy Dexy sitting there in the middle. Their overall front seven is pretty damn good, especially the front four. Like, yeah, they're going to be getting after the quarterback, and most teams are going to have to worry about that defensive line. Their defensive backfield without Xavier McKinney really doesn't do it for me. I mean, he left last year, but I mean, we saw this last year. Their defensive backfield just wasn't good. So for right now, dude, I'm just going to put the New York Giants as not ideal. But during the course of the season, I'm going to do like 4 or 6 of these. They may be moved up into solid because for all I know, that defense could give the New York Giants 4+ wins into 6 for all we know. Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings are an interesting team, dude, because there's a lot of people that put their roster up there with the best. And they are up there with the best. Their defense is actually pretty damn good. The overall roster is pretty good on their defense. They played really good too. They play with really good discipline. And then you got their offense. Obviously last year they had Sam Darnold, and you have JJ McCarthy coming on this year, his second year. JJ McCarthy is a major question mark right now. We don't know how good JJ McCarthy is. And I mean, you got Jetta's arguably number 1 wide receiver. And then you got Jordan Addison when he's back from suspension. TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. You got Jordan Mason backing him up. They got good offensive players. But the major thing is with KOC, and JJ McCarthy. I think KOC's a great head coach. Um, but we just don't know how it's going to go with JJ McCarthy. So for right now, I'm going to put them as solid, but that could change. They're a playoff team. Make no mistake, they just made the playoffs. But when you have a major question at quarterback, and we do with the young quarterback, I'm gonna put them there in solid. The Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams. Um, I'm excited about this team. I'm really excited, but at the same time, I'm worried. Right on the offensive end, you got Devontae Adams coming back, and make no mistake, people that didn't watch Devontae Adams last year with the Jets, he looked like his old self. He's still a really good wide receiver. They got rid of Cooper Kupp, but between Devontae Adams and Puka Nakua, I don't think you're missing a step there. And Atwell's he's a solid third option. So their wide receivers are really good. Their running backs pretty good. Actually, people have him pretty highly rated. And then their offensive line is really good. Matthew Stafford, we know, is a really good quarterback, but with this back injury, it feels to me like this is going to be a week to week thing with Matthew Stafford. So we just don't really know how that's going to go, right? And then you go on their defensive side, led by Jared Verse. Freaking their defensive line is stacked, right? They have depth there on their defensive line, and it's led by Jared Verse. He's a crazy man. He's really good. We all know this. Their linebackers are their defensive backfield is actually pretty solid. Just a bunch of dudes that a lot of people just don't really know, but they're coached well and they play really well. But yeah, Matthew Stafford is just really just the major like kind of question mark there for my dogs. Yeah, so Matthew Stafford is kind of the holdup, but they, for all we know, they could go to the Super Bowl. Make no mistake, they could go to the Super Bowl. So for right now, I have them as a dark horse. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are extremely exciting for me because I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, and he's finally found a home. And he looks like he plays. I know he throws a fair amount of picks, but he also tosses a lot of touchdowns. And between Mike Evans and Muke Buka, you got Chris Godwin coming back. Bucky Irving, his really good rookie year. Their offensive line is pretty solid. Their defense, they're not bad. Hopefully they play better this upcoming season. I really love Jamel Dean. I think Jamel Dean is overrated. Didn't have the best year this last year, but they have a pretty good squad. And being in the NFC South, I think they're the clear number one there. Clear number one. So I got them as a playoff team. I do. They're that good. Next team, got the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, we all know how good they were. They're one of the top NFC teams, make no mistake. Their roster is absolutely stacked, make no mistake of it. On the offensive end, you got Jared Goff in that top 2, top 3 offensive line, right? With Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. You got Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams. They're stacked. They're so stacked. On the defensive end, you got Aiden Hutchinson, those linebackers, the corner, the safety. Dude, I could go on and on about their roster. The really big question with the Detroit Lions is that they just lost Ben Johnson and their defensive coordinator. So they just lost 2 coordinators. And coming from an Eagles fan, I'm going to tell you right now, that it could be a big deal. It's something that could derail their season if things aren't popping. But their roster's so good that it could cover up some of those flaws. But I still have them as a dark horse because those coordinators are just I just don't really know about them. So that could change. I could be putting them up as Super Bowl contenders in the first quarter of the season if things work out well. But for right now, I just do not know about those damn coordinators, man. All right, next team we got the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, we all know Ben Johnson came over. Caleb Williams just came off a 20 touchdown, 6 interception season. I don't think he played as bad as some people do. I think Caleb Williams actually showed signs considering his circumstances. The coaching situation was absolute dog shit. But yeah, man, I mean, this is a team where they got a bunch of, really bright pieces on their offense. They got DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and they shored up their offensive line. Their offensive line went from pretty bad to like really good fast under Ben Johnson. I expect them to be good. Their defense, I really love their defensive backfield led by Jalen Johnson. Their linebackers with TJ Edwards, love TJ Edwards. The defensive line will be the real major factor there. Is can they get pressure in Chicago? We'll have to see. So, Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, they got a lot to prove. They really do. I put them right there with Minnesota in the NFC North. But yeah, just another young QB needs to prove it with a first-year head coach. So I'm going to put them in solid. San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco, we all know under Kyle Shanahan, they've been absolutely insane. Just so many NFC Championship games, 2 Super Bowls. This team, they still have really good pieces. They've gotten rid of some people. Obviously, Debo, got rid of Hufanga, got rid of Dre Greenlaw, a couple other people. This is still a good team, dude. This is still a good team. Brock Purdy's a really good quarterback. Obviously, he got paid. It reflects it, right? Their wide receiver room is pretty banged up right now with Ricky Pearsall as the clear number 1. And then you got give me that dude, freaking dog. And then you got so you got Ricky Pearsall, you got Juwan Jennings dealing with injury, maybe he's holding out, we don't know. Brandon Ayuk coming back from injury later into the season. Then you got Christian McCaffrey coming back from injury off of last season. He's looking healthy right now. They just traded for Brian Robinson Jr. Their offensive line is solid. I'm not the biggest fan of the way John Lynch and Shanahan go about the offensive line. It just kind of seems like they neglect it. But they got pieces there on their offense. And then their defense, really love their defense. They got a lot of young guys on their defense, and their depth is a major question mark on the that's the overall thing with this whole team. It's the depth. Like, they got good corners. Diamador Lenore. Yeah, dude. They got good defensive backs. Their safeties are a bit of a question. But obviously they still got Nick Bosa and freaking Fred Warner. But the overall depth on that team is a major question mark. So for right now, I'm going to put San Francisco as just a playoff team because I think there's a lot of question marks there. But that could change over the course of the season. They got a pretty easy schedule, so it's going to be kind of hard with San Francisco for me. Philadelphia Eagles just coming off the Super Bowl. We know to deal with this team. Their team is absolutely stacked from the wide receivers, the offensive line, Jalen. I expect Jalen even to have a better year this year. He didn't have like the overall best year, but he didn't play bad. He wasn't turning over the ball during the course of the season, right? He cleaned it up pretty fast. This team is just stacked, dude. From like their safeties are really good. Obviously, they got Sidney Brown, they got Andrew Mabu. They got young safeties, and opposite of Reed Blankenship, we'll see how that works out. And opposite of Quinyon Mitchell on the other side, we'll see how that works out because they got Adoree Jackson and Adoree Jackson looks like he's gonna be the starter. We'll see how that works out. But really, that corner position is the major factor with Philadelphia right now, in my opinion. And then we all know Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. You got Nolan Smith. They just dropped. It goes on and on with Philadelphia. Right now, they're a true Super Bowl contender. There are no questions. All right, Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders just got Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, obviously, he took a break from coaching. Still a good, solid coach. They brought in Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a pretty damn good QB. He's a starter. I don't care what anybody says. He's super accurate. They drafted Ashton Jeanty, and people kind of tend to act like, oh, why did they draft Ashton Jeanty when their offensive line isn't good? The Raiders actually do have a pretty damn good offensive line. Do your research. So I expect them to run the ball pretty solid with Ashton Jeanty. I'd be shocked if they didn't. Then their wide receivers, not the biggest fan of their wide receivers. Their defense, I don't like their defense outside of Max Crosby, but that remains to be seen. We'll see if it changes this upcoming season. They're being coached really well, so we'll see what happens. But for right now, I'm just gonna put the Raiders in uh, solid because I do think that they're, they're just not as bad as some people are saying, but they're not as high as their fans probably think because of Pete Carroll, right? Then we got the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers just traded for Micah. We all know that. And there's some people that are going to say that this he's the only missing piece on the Green Bay Packers. I don't tend to agree with that, but I do think it will help the Green Bay Packers defense tremendously. Micah Parsons is an elite pass rusher. You put him on that defensive line, and just the way the defensive coordinator was scheming with what he had, there's not a lot of. They don't have a lot of. That defense is not very star studded, especially getting rid of Jair Alexander. Their defensive backfield without Jair is pretty sus. The one saving factor is Xavier McKinney. And Xavier McKinney, in my opinion right now, is the best safety in the league. Hands down. It's not just the interceptions. He just plays like an elite safety right now. So yeah, their defensive backfield is a question mark. Front seven's solid, Micah Parsons. Then you got their offense with Jordan Love. Their wide receiver one position is still a major question mark, even after drafting Matthew Goldson or whatever, the rookie wide receiver they drafted. And yeah, Josh Jacobs, super good with the run game. Jordan Love. This will all come down to Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. There's a lot of people that are like, hey, just traded for Micah. Let's see what you can do. So for right now, yeah, the Packers are one of those teams. They're going to be in the playoffs, dude. And honestly, it would not shock me. It would not shock me if they made a Super Bowl run. They have that much more. They have that much potential. There is no question. All right, leads us to the Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders, obviously, their season went way better than people were expecting last year. Jaden Daniels, people already have him as a top 7 quarterback. I put him somewhere in the top 10. He's damn good. The one thing that holds me up with the Washington Commanders is I don't like how old this team is. It's just not a fan of it, right? I'm not going to hold that against them. They're still a team that could definitely make some noise this year and go pretty freaking far. It wouldn't shock me if they somehow got back to the NFC Championship game. I mean, they just got rid of Brad Robinson Jr. They obviously like their running back room. They re-signed Terry McLaurin. Their offensive line is solid. Their defense, Marshawn Lattimore, I'm not the biggest fan of him. I don't really think he played that good. But I've heard some rumblings about a really good young corner there. And I'm pretty sure this last year they had a pretty good young corner. So their defensive backfield is pretty solid. And their linebackers are also really good. So, yeah, their defense overall, pretty good. And their offense with Jaden Daniels is going to make some noise, no question. So they're going to be one of those teams that's going to be in the mix. But right now I'm going to put them as a playoff team, dude. Actually, no, you know what? No. I'm going to put them as a dark horse. They just went to the NFC Championship game, and I'm going to give them that respect. All right, next team we got the Arizona Cardinals, and we all know with the Arizona Cardinals, at the end of the day, this team is such a question mark because on the offense and defense, they're not really star-studded, right? Like the main player I think of on defense is Budda Baker. And Budda Baker seems like such an old player to me, but he's actually really not that old of a safety, right? And their linebackers are solid. Defensive line is solid. Like I said, they're not star-studded. And then on their offense, head of the helm, they got Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, who recently people have just viewed as top tight end. And he is a top tight end. He's a really good tight end. Their offensive line is but the way they're coached, this is a team that can go head-to-head with anybody. It all just comes down to Kyler Murray. Is Kyler Murray on or is he off? If Kyler Murray's consistent, they're a contender. If he's not, who knows, man. So for right now, I'm going to put the Arizona Cardinals is just solid, but that could change for me. That could change. Pittsburgh Steelers, they just got Aaron Rodgers. We all know Aaron Rodgers. He had a weird situation with the Jets. It was weird. We all know that. But they brought over DK Metcalf. They just drafted the other rookie running back. And yeah, this could be a solid offense. I mean, their offense last year with Russell Wilson really wasn't anything crazy. Wouldn't shock me if they're just the same with Aaron Rodgers, if not better. I mean, Rodgers can still sling it. He's not what he was, but bro can still sling it. And then we all know under Mike Tomlin, a Mike Tomlin-led team is always going to have a good defense. I mean, you just re-signed T.J. Watt. You got good corners, Darius Slay. They just traded for Jalen Ramsey. And, yeah, linebackers are solid. They're going to be good on defense. They're always solid on defense, if not one of the better defenses in the league. So for right now, I'm going to put the Steelers as solid because they're one of those AFC teams I'm not the biggest fan of, but they could creep up into the playoff talk. No question. Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, man, if this team could just get it done, man, I mean, they've had some pretty good rosters in the past. Josh Allen and Joe Brady on that offense, I love that offense, dude. I love that offense. We all know Josh Allen is a top 4 elite quarterback in this league. We all know that. And Joe Brady's a pretty damn good play caller. They just re-signed James Cook. I love James Cook in that backfield. I hope they increase his snaps. Yeah, their offense could be good. Keon Coleman, hopefully he comes along. Dalton Kincaid, I really like Dalton Kincaid. And then their defense. I'm not the biggest fan of the Buffalo Bills defense. And the overall depth on that defense is a question mark. And I could see it being an issue during the course of the season. Well, not during the season, in the postseason, because the Bills are going to get into the postseason. So they're a team for me where it's going to come down to depth, but I could definitely see them in the play. I could see them in the Super Bowl. I think the depth could be an issue, but at the same time, Josh Allen and that offense could override that. Make no question. I've seen it with offenses before. Josh Allen, yeah, dude. I'm going to put them as Super Bowl contenders. No question. The Atlanta Falcons. We know a lot about this team. I mean, they got Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is just a backup there now with Michael Penix. Had a pretty good, solid year. I mean, when he came in, people weren't expecting much. And I'm like, damn, he's actually pretty good, dude. I'm pretty sure he went head-to-head with Jaden Daniels. Wasn't that game pretty close at one point? Yeah, their offense is really exciting. We'll see if Kyle Pitts can do anything. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, yeah. Bijan Robinson, about to pop off. People are already reviewing him as a top running back, and I mean, if you dropped him in fantasy, you'll see how high he's going. So their offense is pretty good, dude. Their offensive line is like mid. I don't think they're terrible. They're mid. Their defense is just a major question mark. Their defense is, I'm not a fan of their defensive backfield. Yeah, we'll see how that has to go. I know they got good safeties, but their defense could be a problem for a young QB. So for right now, I'm just gonna put the Atlanta Falcons in the solid category. Seattle Seahawks. They just brought over Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold just came over from Minnesota Vikings. Bro just balled out this year. Literally balled out. I'm so high on Sam Darnold. Especially with Kubiak. Kubiak, I kind of went back and forth with some people. They're like, oh, no, we know about his offense. I'm like, no, we don't know about Kubiak's offense, and it's a major question mark. So, hopefully things will work out good with Kubiak and Sam Darnold. He could be good. He could find a home there, dude. And then on their defense, I love the Seattle Seahawks defense. And I think they got great depth there. The one thing with their defense that excites me the absolute most is their defensive backfield. That defensive backfield has the potential to be one of the best, if not the best in the league. I'm not even playing. I'm that high on the Seattle Seahawks defensive backfield. But for right now, dude, I'm going to put them as a playoff team because they could easily get into the playoffs. Make no mistake. Especially with Sam Darnold. And that head coach of theirs, that dude is way better than people think. The back end of the season for Seattle, they were firing on all cylinders, dude. All right, next team, New England Patriots. The New England Patriots just brought over Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel, dude, I love Mike Vrabel, especially when he was with Tennessee. He's coming over to New England, and everything's looking good for New England right now, right? I'm so excited for them. Not really the biggest fan of Josh McDaniels, but I do love Josh McDaniel. I really do love Drake May, and I think there's a lot of potential there. I kind of put him in that like Caleb Williams category. You know what I mean? Like there's a chance they could pop off this year. Um, they got solid wide receivers. They brought over Stephon Diggs. Their running back room is looking pretty good. Their offensive line is solid. Their defense, love their defense. They brought over Milton Williams too inside the interior defensive line, and their linebackers are solid, and their defensive backfield is actually pretty good. I'm a really big fan of Christian Gonzalez. I really love the way that kid plays. He's a really gritty, tough man-to-man corner. He can play zone too. He can just kind of do anything and everything. So for right now, dude, I'm gonna put them in the solid category. Some people would put them in the playoff category because some people are so high on the Patriots. There's just more to prove there for me for the New England Patriots. So I just have to wait and see. This could change during the course of the season, so we'll have to wait and see. Um, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns. Um, it's tough for me on the Cleveland Browns, dude, because I love this team's defense, and like outside of like Myles Garrett, their linebackers are solid. I just love a defense that can play a high percentage of man to man, and the Browns are one of those defenses. I know Marcus Emerson just got hurt. He really didn't have the best season last year, but he was a young, promising corner, right? Then they got Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward. I love that defensive backfield. Then you go to their offense, right? Offensive line is not the worst. The quarterback position, we all know Joe Flacco is going to be QB1 start out the season. You'll have Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders probably is number 3. And there's just so much weird stuff going on there with the Cleveland Browns. And as a result of that, I feel like it doesn't help them during the course of the season. Keep in mind, Deshaun Watson is still on the team too, so I don't know what the Cleveland Browns. I really do like Kevin Stefanski, and yeah, man, it's just really, the vibe is weird. The vibe is weird in Cleveland. I don't know how else to say it, man. But for right now, I gotta put them in the nope category, dude. I'm sorry. It could change. It could change. Um, Houston Texans. I love this team. I love this team that D'Amico Ryans has made, dude. They literally match his attitude too. CJ Stroud. I know CJ Stroud struggled this last year. I think the struggle came from the result of the offensive line. The offensive line really wasn't the best, and as a result of that, it made CJ Stroud. It rushed his clock, dude. It just didn't make him play with timing. He's a good QB though, make no mistake. And they have really good wide receivers, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. I don't really know much about Tank Dell's injury status, but they have guys there, dude. They have guys in their wide receiver room, and their running backs are solid. And I expect their offense to be maybe not one of the better offenses in the league, but with CJ Stroud's a really good QB. So their offense is going to be good. Maybe. They may be middle tier because of that offensive line, but we'll have to see. And then their defense with D'Amico Ryans. Like I said, the defense just matches a D'Amico Ryans led team. They're physical. They play with so much swagger. I love their defensive line. I love their linebackers. I love their corners. Derek Stingley. I was high on him when he was drafted. I know it started out shaky, but right now, dude, he's a top corner. So, yeah, right now I'm going to put the Houston Texans as a dark horse. Last year, people would put them as a dark horse. I didn't. This year, I'm putting them as a dark horse because they, for sure, they could make a run. They played Kansas City tough in the playoffs. Kansas City Chiefs. Lots of people like talk shit on Kansas City. I mean, I like talk a little shit on Kansas City because I'm a Birds fan. But let's be real. Kansas City is one of the best teams in the league. They've been to AFC Championship game, what is it, every single year with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, yeah, dude. don't sleep on them ever. I don't know how else to put it. Don't sleep on them ever. I love Xavier Worthy, Pacheco. I love the way Pacheco runs, dude. He's such an explosive back. He may not be one of the better backs, but he plays with so much explosion, and he's so fast. He's so quick, dude. Between that, Worthy, and when Rice comes back off of suspension, um, who knows how Kelty plays? He kind of had a bit of a down year. He's getting a little bit older. But those other guys, they're going to be good with Patrick Mahomes. And hopefully Patrick Mahomes is going to be forcing the ball down the field with Xavier Worthy this upcoming season. Don't be shocked if that's happening, because I'm expecting Xavier Worthy to take a next step. And then on the defensive end, they got Chris Jones. They got good linebackers and McDuffie in their defensive backfield. They got a good overall defense. Their team does have maybe a question mark or two, but I don't know. I put them right there with Philadelphia. I really do. Their offensive line ain't like Philadelphia's, and positional, they're a little bit different, but I put them up there. They're gonna be contending for the Super Bowl. Make no mistake. Don't sleep on them. The Dallas Cowboys. Whoo! The Dallas Cowboys. They just traded Micah. We all know this. But the way I view the Cowboys is if Dak is playing, if Dak and all the offensive players are healthy, they have a shot at winning any game. They do. Even without Micah Parsons. Now, without Micah Parsons, it does make their pass rush pretty sus. I'm not going to lie. Their pass rush, it's not going to be any better without him. I know they just got, when they traded for Parsons, they got the defensive tackle from the Packers, who's a really good run defense, really good run stuffer as a defensive tackle, and that will help their defense. But if you don't have a pass rush, and I mean they got rid of DeMarcus Lawrence too, it could be a problem for the Dallas Cowboys defense. Trayvon Diggs, love Trayvon Diggs' game. Deron Bland. So, I mean, they do have defensive backs in that backfield. Their defense isn't all terrible, but no pass rush is kind of sketchy. But with Dak, I have to say, with Dak, CD, and George Pickens, who I think is going to turn up, I'm going to put them in the playoff teams, dude. Because they for sure can make some noise against these teams. I know they could. It's just about finishing. Los Angeles Chargers. I just like to start with the defensive side. Defensive side is solid. They played good at times. I don't know how good they're going to be this year, but under Jim Harbaugh, I couldn't see their defense playing bad. I'll tell you that much. So they're going to be, I expect them to be like a top 12 defense. Maybe not top 10, top 12. And then on their offensive side, big fan of Justin Herbert. Some people don't like him. Some people think he's just a playoff choker. I really do like Justin Herbert, and depending on the week, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'd put him over Joe Burrow, but I'd put him maybe right below Joe Burrow. He's good. Make no mistake, dude. And their wide receivers, I know Johnston, but Ladd McConkey, he's so good. Ladd McConkey surprised me this last year in his rookie season. And then you bring over Keenan Allen, and I still feel like Keenan Allen can play. And I don't expect Keenan Allen to be doing anything crazy, but I do think that Keenan Allen is actually he's gonna be a little bit of a safety blanket every now and then for your boy Justin Herbert. And then they drafted the rookie running back, and I think that they're going to be running the ball a lot, even with that offensive lineman that got hurt. I don't think their offensive line is going to be terrible. It doesn't help that he's hurt, but yeah, I think they're going to be running the ball a lot, and I think they'll be in the mix for the playoffs, dude. Make no mistake. With Jim Harbaugh, don't sleep on that shit. Make no mistake. New York Jets. They just brought over Detroit's defensive coordinator. I love that dude. I really do. I think he's a really good DC. And the way the Detroit Lions players rallied for him after they went through the whole roster speaks volumes for him. So he goes over to the New York Jets. And the New York Jets played really good defensively under Robert Saleh. So I expect that to carry on with this new coaching staff. And then, I mean, of course, on the offensive side, they brought on Justin Fields. I got to be honest, I'm kind of over the Justin Fields experiment. I just think he's a backup quarterback. But hey, for all I know, he could shock me this year. You never know with these young dudes. You never know. We gave up on Geno Smith, and look what he did. So I'm not completely out on Justin Fields, but I'm I don't know. I don't know, dude. But yeah, I mean they just re-signed a bunch of young dudes too, along with that Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, uh, really good wide receiver. I'm expecting him. I'm waiting for Garrett Wilson, like Nico Collins, to have one of these like top 7 wide receiver years where he's just absolutely going nuts, right? And then their running backs, they got a really good running back room. So the New York Jets aren't bad. They're not bad, dude. They're better. If you were to talk to most of that area, I think they'd be pretty negative on them. But I think the New York Jets are solid, in my opinion. Um, yeah, and then, okay, so Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers, they got Bryce Young. I love Bryce Young. They picked up a couple guys. They got McMillan, wide receiver. He's expected to be pretty good. What to see how that works out. I wasn't as high on him as in college as people were, but hey, when you get to the pros, things can change. He could be better than I think. But Bryce Young, dude, he really turned the chapter, and so I think that kind of shakes up things in the NFC South with them. They got Chuba Hubbard as their running back, and so yeah, like I said, I'm expecting their offense to be pretty good. Their defense isn't terrible. Their defense could be better, but I like J.C. Horn, and they got a couple other dudes, and I'm like, they got some pieces, so they could be a team in the NFC South that may give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers some issues. But for right now, last year you would have put them in not ideal, right? But the way they finished, they capped off the season against Philly and Kansas City. I gotta put them in solid, dude, because they showed some promise. All right, on to the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, they drafted Cam Ward. Cam Ward looked pretty solid in the preseason. Like, he looked pretty good in the preseason. I'm not really the biggest fan of their head coach, but this team they got pieces, dude. Their offensive line is solid. Their running back room is solid. I like Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard actually had a pretty good productive season, especially being there on that team. And yeah, their wide receiver room is a little bit weird. Traylon Burks, he's just honestly looking like a bust. But Calvin Ridley was connecting with Cam Ward in the preseason. So I expect that to carry on into the regular season. If those two are kind of, they have a really good relationship out in the field passing, Cam Ward could actually have a solid season. Like, if people were to look at their roster, they'd be like, oh, he was drafted to a bad team. No, dude, like it could be mid for the Tennessee Titans. And their defense wasn't terrible. You look at the statistics, like, they ranked in certain categories pretty good. There's just a lot to prove on that end. So there's a lot to prove on the offensive and defensive end with the Tennessee Titans. But for right now, just with so many question marks on both ends, and I'm not the biggest fan of their head coach, I'm going to put them in not ideal, but that could change. Indianapolis Colts. I low-key like the Colts, man. Let me tell you why I like the Colts. Do you guys remember just what was it, a couple years ago with Gardner Minshew under Shane Steichen? And they were like competing with all these good teams. And I know they benched Anthony Richardson, and Anthony Richardson is looking like a bust right now. They brought in Danny Dimes from New York, the New York Giants. And things aren't looking good for the management, right? Like, it's not looking good for the GM, Chris Ballard, and it's not looking good for Shane Steichen. But Shane Steichen just shows, when you watch the games, he still has a really good offensive mind, dude. Like, a really good offensive mind. So it wouldn't shock me if we saw a situation like Gardner Minshew with Danny Dimes, where he's just playing solid and they put pressure on teams and they're in a lot of games. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest. And I like their overall roster on offense and defense. Like, they got some players, dude. They may not be superstar studded, but the overall team as a whole, outside the quarterback, is pretty solid. So I'm going to put them in the solid category, dude. I'm a big fan of Shane Steichen, too. So, not being biased, but I just think that he's better than people are talking about. And then the last team, another AFC South team, Jacksonville Jaguars. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are down on Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is still really good. There's a lot of people that, like I said, they like to down on the kid. Things have been weird. It started off weird for him to begin with. Urban Meyer, then you go to Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's, you know, not a lot of excuses there. Pretty solid head coach. But now he has his coach coming over from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hopefully a young offensive mind can kind of just get things going there in Jacksonville, right, with Trevor Lawrence. Dude can play so good at times, so don't sleep on him. Watch the games. Like, actually watch Jacksonville games, because I think that, I'm not saying they're going to be good, but I think they may surprise you in a game here or there. You know, on the offensive side. The defensive side, I'm not the biggest fan of. I just don't like Jacksonville's defense, dude. They just don't do it for me. But no, Brian Thomas Jr. on the offense, and Travis Hunter, and then their running backs. Their running backs are a little bit weird, but yeah, Trevor Lawrence, you know, 20, 25, 26 plus TDs. Yeah, no, yeah, maybe a little bit too high. 24 plus. I don't know. All I'm trying to say is I think their passing offense is going to be pretty solid, and don't sleep on them. So I'm going to put Jacksonville in the solid category. And yeah, man, that's my list right there. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. Am I crazy where I put any of these teams? And keep in mind, I will be changing this during the course of the season, because we're going to do this a couple times during the season, and it's going to change. So, yeah, you guys let me know in the comments. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe to your boy. Football's almost here. And yeah, things are about to get crazy. Things are about to get crazy. The 4th is almost here. It's almost here. So, yeah, appreciate you guys watching. I'm outie, and I'll catch you on the next one. Deuces. Subscribe. Don't be a hater. Don't do it.
You good? Yeah, let's go.